So the weather's actually looking really nice today, which is fantastic news because today is the Christmas harvest, and harvests in midwinter are always so much slower than harvests in summer. But it's a big harvest for us. I think we're harvesting for 24 of our friends and family, and so it's quite important. And we held a little tiny bit of veg back for Christmas. So a few extra parsnips and a few sprouts and things like that. But generally speaking, we try and harvest pretty much the same amount every week of the year for eating fresh. And obviously, you know, in summer we're harvesting a lot for storage as well, and for preserving and things like that. And it's also quite a big milestone for me because since I've been growing, which is now just over 5 years, I've now harvested £37,000 worth of food, which translates into about 37,000 meals as well. That makes me feel pretty good, I gotta say. I'm quite pleased about that. Maybe I'll have a bit of a celebration when I get to 40,000. But it's also we're coming close now to the last harvest off Jennie's plot, which we're giving up in January. And we're giving that up because we just don't need it anymore. We just harvest so much food. We just don't need that extra space. Over those years, we've just got so much better at growing than we were when we started. And whilst we absolutely needed that plot just to feed the family, we've now got a big surplus when we include that plot. And we've, as I said, been feeding actually over most of the year 28 people. We just dropped down a little bit on the run up to Christmas. So yeah, I'm going to get on with the harvest, and I have like a bit of a photographic record that I keep of most of the bigger harvests that we do each week, and so I'll stick those at the end just so you can take a look at those. It's a nice little record. Obviously I'm not going to put every single one because that would be a very long drawn out set of photos, but I'll put a few highlights in there for you to see. And I'll leave some of these in because I like it when they go to flower and you just get the most tender little leaves off them, and there's plenty of these that will go to flower here, so I'm just going to cut them off at the base. And they're not too bad. I'm actually quite pleased with these. They're going to clean up really nice, so I think I'll pick 3 full stems. Absolutely love sprouts. I love colettes more, and they're definitely my favourite. And they come off a bit like a sprout, you know. So the small ones are quite similar, but I've picked a big one just to give you an idea. They're just like an incredibly tender kind of mini loose leaf cabbage, and they're a cross between sprouts and kale. We think they're wonderful, and we haven't yet found somebody who doesn't love them. You can just, you know, cook the whole lot. We normally steam them, that whole thing, and they're just fantastic. And you can just see that there's an enormous amount on here. Obviously there's a few yellow leaves, they just pick off really easily. Absolutely amazing. And you do get a bit of regrowth. Let's see on this one that's already been harvested, all of this regrowth that's coming from the edges here, and if you're lucky you actually get a decent harvest off these come sort of February, March time, because they're actively growing at the moment even in this really cold weather, so they're great. And of course you can eat the leaves, although not many of the leaves are left now, but you can eat these leaves, and of course you can eat the tops as well, just as you would a sprout top. They're just the most magnificent plant. So there's the ones that I picked today, and I'll probably just show you a smaller one so you can just see how sprout-like that is. A bit like a loose leaf sprout. And I am very partial to loose leaf sprouts as well. But yeah, look at that. So now I'm going to pick a few leeks from here. In fact, I'm going to pick most of these. These are a bonus crop. I just stuck them between the carrots, and the carrots did fine, and the leeks did great as well. So now I'm onto the carrots, and these carrots weren't covered, but they're Nando, I think, and they're meant to be resistant to carrot fly. And to be honest, they haven't been totally resistant. Well, that's not very good, is it? But they have been reasonably okay. Definitely what you might call just usable. They're not too bad, are they? I mean, nothing to be proud of, but they're okay. One of the things when you're a self-sufficient gardener is you have to kind of give up on pride. You just have to eat whatever you've got. And supermarket standards cannot really realistically be achieved when you're growing 250 varieties of different things. You just can't optimize the growing conditions for anything. Everything just has to be kind of just good enough. 80-20. You do the 20% of work that gives you the 80% of benefit, and you have to be happy with it, and we certainly are. Now I'm going to pick some of this purple sprouting broccoli. I've actually got quite a lot of it coming, so I'm quite pleased with that. And like so many things, it's a bit hard to pick this stuff one-handed, but it looks really nice. It's just come ready in time, this, so I'm really fussy with it actually. And I've got some baby cabbages as well. I'm going to get those picked. I'm not going to let them grow on because they're not going to get much bigger, and they're just gorgeous as they are. So that's a bucket of purple sprouting broccoli and some baby cabbages. I'll just get that slug off there, I think. And now I'm going to pick some leaves, and I'm going to pick some of these purple sprouting broccoli leaves, the smaller tender ones. These are to die for, these. Everybody loves them. Absolutely fantastic. And we've got a wide range of leaves. We always like to pick as big a range of leaves as we can, and that's just from the point of view of taste, but it's a pretty good health strategy too. And I've got this Sutherland kale. Now I've got to say, this is not looking the most tempting of the crops that I grow, but there's actually some really nice, you have to rummage around, but some really nice quality leaves in here. And it's a really nice kale. It's just we've harvested it so consistently now for so long. That, it's just looking a little bit ragged. But, yeah, look at that. That's a nice handful. I've also got a few nice sprout tops. And we actually love sprout leaves as well. We start harvesting sprout leaves in May, and we harvest them continuously, and they're just about finishing now, so basically from May until January. And we're actually harvesting sprouts from the actual sprouts from July until, well, probably March. Unfortunately, none of the winter cauliflowers are ready yet. They're just starting to come. But anyway, not to worry, I might have some little baby ones on my plot. Back on brassica leaves now. I'm going to pick some of this perennial kale. I'm going to take some of the smaller leaves. Leave the bigger ones to focus on growth. But these are gorgeous. And we've got another one down here. And these are one of my favourite harvests in spring, really, rather than at this time of year. So I am taking care not to take too much. but there's plenty here. I actually just pulled one of these off by accident. They're always falling off, so I think I might be able to do a cutting for somebody there. My plot opened up, so I've got some really nice kales here, so I'll take a few of these bigger leaves. I've actually got quite a good crop of kale back at home as well, so I'm not going to take too much from this bed. Try and even it out a bit. But those look gorgeous, don't they? And then I'll take some of this curly kale, and then sort of underneath here I've got some turnips, so I'm going to grab a few of those. Growing much more than this now, but I'm pleased I managed to save a few. So these are some of the carrots that were netted, and so I'm going to pick a few of these just so we have some good clean ones. I've got to say, I'm quite pleased with these, looking quite nice. I don't need a huge number, I think that will probably do me. Oh. There we go. Perfect. I've got a few of these baby kales. These are for spring, so I'm not going to pick huge numbers off this, but these are just so they're just so tender. These are for me. I love these. I just love these colours. What a lovely selection. We've got a big bucket of purple sprouting broccoli, but to be honest, you can never have too much purple sprouting broccoli, so I think I'm going to take some of this as well. It's a bit green actually, but I'm sure it tastes just as good. Got one little green cauliflower, it's meant to be green, left, so I'm going to take that. I actually can't break it off. Small but beautiful. I'm going to grab a few parsnips, and I've never grown parsnips before, so I've actually been quite pleased with these. My first attempt. I haven't got very many in there, and I'm going to dig them up with my fork. So there's my root veggies, multicoloured carrots, looking quite nice. These cosmic purple are really gorgeous, aren't they? And some yellow carrots, a few turnips, and those are the parsnips, my first parsnips. Well, not my first harvest, we've been harvesting them for a few weeks, but my first planting. And I've got to pick a bit of spinach, a few beds to go at, but I'm only going to pick a few leaves off each plant because I really want them strong for spring. I'm just going to pick some lettuces from the polytunnel and some parsley, and that is pretty much it. A bit of spinach from there probably as well. And I'll pick a few field bean tops because these are quite the delicacy. A lot of our friends really love these. A couple of these Crown Prince squashes. These are always a family favourite. These are the ones I picked. These lovely perennial kales here as well. Some beautiful kales at home. This is dazzling blue. It's one of my favourites. I picked some of this. And I'll pick a bit of golden beetroot. This is the last that we've got outside. Almost everything else is in the store. I'm just using this little last little bit up. And then, yeah, harvest gets a lot easier when everything comes from the store. So I've got about 15 tubs of these new potatoes. These need to last us until April though, so I'm not going to pick them all. And these are just the new potatoes. Obviously we've got the main crop in the store. but I like to leave these in the compost. They just come out so fresh and lovely. So there's the baby new potatoes. There are a few of them that have got a little tiny bit of scab on, but most of them look lovely. The context for pretty much leaving the back garden intact with everything as it is, and this is going to provide lots of food in the winter months. So we've just finished the clean and pack, and it's on the table for sorting, and I gotta say I'm pretty pleased. I think that's the best Christmas harvest we've done. We've just got a few lettuces here. We actually picked all the salads yesterday, so I'll just pop a picture of those up. I've got some parsley, carrots, and carrots for us, turnips for us, and then the parsnips, spinach, sprouts, sprouts and cauliflowers, and purple sprout and broccoli. Colettes, just look at how beautiful those are cleaned up. I rave about colettes all the time. Some chard, more sprouts, and all the brassica leaves and everything are underneath the sprouts. Some of those baby cabbages. Those leeks, they cleaned up really nicely. Obviously a couple of crown prince squashes. And we also chopped up some of the crown prince. There's some of the baby new potatoes, some of the cabbages, and the root veggies, and onions, and beetroot, and garlic, and shallots, and more beetroot. So there we go. Christmas. And then in the bags, because it's Christmas, we've got cakes and preserves and all sorts of other goodies, and so hopefully people will enjoy those. I think we've actually even got some chocolate cherries in there as well. Quite a nice selection. And that's pretty much it. And I hope you noticed that I was being very careful not to overpick, because at this time of year, you know, it's a bit tempting to sort of pick everything and then you've got nothing to eat for the rest of winter until growth picks up in early spring. So I hope you liked this quick video. My name's Steve, this is the Seaside Allotment channel, and I'll see you soon.